So with that, I'd like to get the other investors up. And I think if Trond, if you go there, if Jon Kåre, you go in the middle, and Christian next to me here. So what you're saying here then is that you hope that within a year we will see those effects coming here, and we will be it is turning, or we're at the bottom. Hopefully it will turn. I threw up your DN article where you're trying to take the macro view on where we are, looking back and looking forward. So Trond, you have great macro insight. Could you challenge this a little bit or build on it and give us your insight and perspective on this?
Yeah, I was interviewed by DN, and the first question was basically, are you still alive? And what's happening in a situation where there's zero capital coming into the startup market? So I felt it was incredibly important to give the bigger perspective. I think that we saw now that this ecosystem has grown in a terrific way, and is now so much more resilient than it was ever before, and that it's a good time to build in Norway, and there is capital available. I think you can see also that it's a pretty immature ecosystem, and that means that the further out in the rounds you get, the less capability, the less capital, and less competition. And I think you see that in the discounts. That means that I think when you are a really good Norwegian scale-up that are qualifying for doing Series C and D and continue to invest massively before you get to profitability, you will have to rely on international VC investors to a very large degree.
Yeah, I think I want to introduce everybody and get everybody in. I think that's a very good bridge to Jon Kåre, because you were also one of the co-founders in Oda, and Oda is an example of that. A company that became a unicorn company. It has international potential. Yeah. You're doing things brilliantly, but you are in Norway, and you had the SoftBank, you had others starting to look and starting to invest, but we just had that market, kind of the late stage funding market, starting to mature, or actually kind of more being built. You had, yeah, I'll get to that with you also, but can you kind of, how does it feel for a Oda founder who have had kind of 9 years of successfully raising a relatively short runway, and that strategy has worked every year, and then you get into this rougher climate, and then you were not able to raise with Oda, and Skyfall also, you are kind of segmented into some areas. So can you elaborate around kind of late stage, and also what sectors or areas within the startup scene have momentum, and where is it hard now?
Yeah, I can say it's 2022 was much better to be a partner and venture capitalist in a newly raised fund in Skyfall than to be a co-founder and stock owner in Oda. But I think if you look at Oda's situation, I think being part of that funding round in 2022, you're and as you said, coming from 9 years with upward success, you start to finding benchmarks. And I remember when Klarna did their round, and you saw like 90% down with utvanning, dilution. Then you just in a way start to see how the market was correcting and changing. And I think that was pretty much aligned with the end state. So
and I guess you get the same correction. You see the public markets, then you see the late stage, and then it trickles down and it stops somewhere. And it stopped before the early stages, partly, but it was hit. You were hit hard.
I think the problem with Klarna and Oda and several other, we also had several Norwegian examples coming out of 2021 with pretty much money, great funding, and a lot of speed, going to conquer the world. Which in a way is a good thing, and then suddenly capital becomes really expensive, and the view of the future becomes really dark. So yeah, it was just something that happens with the market totally, I think. And but so for being a later stage company with a lot of speed and gaining a lot of cost, it was dramatic. But then again, I think being really early, being also an investor in 2022, and now it's a much more positive and much better position to be in.
Yeah. Well, what about the different sectors? I know that you've been kind of big into crypto, the whole metaverse was one of the trends you were going for. And now there's always a new hype, there's always a new trend, there's always a new thing, and that some have their peaks.
Yeah, I think if you look at the macro perspective, it's still a lot of dark clouds on the skies. And I think what I'm really curious about is NVIDIA's Q2 report is coming out this evening. I think the whole world economy is relying on the results from NVIDIA. So right now we have the climate wave, but what I see as a really strong force that will have the impact to pull the world economy out of this shape we're in now to fight inflation. I think that's the potential that lies within AI, and it's obviously bubble tendencies and a lot of crazy stuff happening. It reminds me about metaverse last year's and crypto, and it's happening a lot of stuff. But I think I'm really optimistic about the time from. If you take the Gartner hype cycle, you have the top of Mount Stupid first, and then at some times you come to the product of sustainability. And I think the time from Mount Stupid to product of sustainability will go much faster with AI. I hope for it at least, than what we've seen with other like buzzwords, which I always also do believe will come, but it will takes more time.
Yeah, so you're sticking to your areas of expertise and the ones you believed in, the crypto, the kind of whole metaverse thing, also.
I think,
and you believe that those will come even though they're in a kind of steeper decline.
I discussed it with Johan earlier. When you're in venture in this space, you're in a way fighting the incumbents, and you're trying to convince people that what you're doing is smart. And the incumbents will fight you with everything they got, and the people that will use your service won't believe it after they've seen it work for six months. So if you take a Venn diagram, it's a really hard place to be in, and I think. But it's in that sector innovation happens, and that's if you see 7 out of 10 of the most valuable companies in the world, they come from this intersection. They're venture funded started by crazy entrepreneurs that really has great passion for time. And I'm happy to work in a 10-year-long fund, and we're looking through this turmoil, and I do believe that it's a lot of serious and big problems that needs to be solved, and it's a huge untapped potential with technology and solution that will solve these problems going ahead. So I'm realist optimist, with the long-term glasses on.
And it was great. I think we have T.R.K here now. He's in the founder panel, so we have one of our best kind of crypto founders here, who'll take us into the inside of how it's been within that space as well. So a bridge to what you started talking about, which was also this. You had a maturing stage, and what this pear-shaped graph showed is that when the big money started flowing into Norway, things happened really fast. You had the Euronext boom, 100 companies going on there in half a year or something. You had the Nordic secondaries fund being established. You had secondary markets emerging. You had CVCs, corporate venture capital, coming in at all stages. You had mega rounds, and what I would call kind of a maturing and healthy market for startups and tech companies growing. And Scibsted is one of the kind of key players in that, and you were a part of that. As I think you said now, the first thing Dan asks is this dead? What is happening? And kind of if you're a big corporate worth tens of billions of kroners, you will get the kind of the negativity first, and you'll be asked by your conservative shareholders, why don't you focus on core business and cut everything else? That's one of the reasons why there are a lot of opportunities for us also now. But where are you at now? What do you think about the whole funding scene that was maturing? And where are you as one of the most important Nordic corporate venture capitalists in that picture? And what are you thinking about the way forward?
Yeah, I think that, so I've been around for 10 years, and Trond Riiber, you have been around for 10 years as well in the venture space, right? So Trond Riiber and I were still sitting here, and no, but I have to say that it's still there. That's the easy answer to your question, right? So I think what we see in general is that there's it's more of a reluctancy. There's more a time for waiting out. The IPO market is sort of dead. I had lunch today with a corporate from, they have no activity going, even though the obvious cases that would go public for a year or two ago they're waiting. They're waiting something else, right?
Yeah, so the IPO market is kind of closed down for now.
Sort of closed out.
And the late stage market, if we go to that, you were one of the kind of participants in the mega rounds.
Yeah.
You were not the SoftBank pouring in 10 billions, and but you were kind of you were the ones in between the early stage that a lot of us here represent, and those, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, we've been investing actively since 2017. So we've been part of smaller rounds and larger rounds. But I would say that in general, all the players are there still. I think that what separates, I think this is a time for separation, especially among CVCs. I think that you see the CVCs that truly have investment and venture investments as part of their core business. Especially then, I'm talking for Scibsted, will keep on investing in hard times and see also hard times as an opportunity. I think that you need to think out. I talked with Sandwater here earlier. I think it's the time for existing investors and new investors is to you need to think out of the box. You have completely different toolbox that you need to use with your existing companies to create value. So we see a lot more secondary opportunities. We see joint ventures. We see consolidation of markets opportunities that I think that we need to be better at in Norway, as in general as well.
Can you, or the rest of the panel, let's include everybody now, elaborate a little bit on that? As an investor in downtimes like this, what you're mentioning is kind of a secondary market emerging. It is possible to buy shares from owners and companies and get in the back door at potentially lower valuations. There are things that open up. It is interesting to understand how you change your strategies or what you think and what kind of investor opportunities that open up. Because I think for all founders here, it is always very important to understand your most important partner. So can you talk a little bit to that? How the investor strategies change? Who wants, Morten?
Yeah, no, I can start and please others chime in. But I think the secondary market is something which is extremely interesting these days, right? And we see it in the US now. We see Tiger, for example, have started to pool together their investments towards one opportunity fund and starting offering secondaries in there. It's also a business opportunity here for the software guys in the room, right? You have a company in Canada, which is called Hive, which has specialized in offering secondary opportunities in shares in non-public funded companies, right? And they trade on discounts, they are market participants there, but creating liquidity in the secondary market is definitely something which needs to be done and something which is important to get to the throw. And that's exactly what you're on, Christian, right? It's a market which is, when one market is going down, maybe another market is going up.
Ron?
Well, I'm not a fan of secondary. And the reason is that I think the key role of a strategic investor is to bring capital to the company. And when you do a secondary, you give capital to the investor. So I think it's important for companies to focus on proving to the next level of investors that in tough environment like we have currently, they can spend money in a productive way. I think it's hard to tell you exactly how quick you should grow, but you should be prepared to talk about your milestones, your KPIs, and your productivity, cash conversion, kind of how you actually are, carefully spending money.
Yeah,
and I think that if you are in that position, you can attract new capital.
Yeah. So if you talk to the secondary market, you're not getting fresh capital in.
No.
You're not selling the potential. You have you're fighting over shares that are in the company. But what you're saying then is that you have to change your strategy as a founder to be able to be attractive for investors now.
Yeah.
So that has also changed.
And you get less paid for the vision and more for proving that you can productively spend resources.
Yeah.
And many companies today are shifting, I think, their strategy from venture capital financing through all these different rounds to perhaps more growth, private equity type funding by getting quicker to break even. And I think that's the type of consideration you need to make so that you don't basically have a mismatch between what you can deliver and what type of investors you're trying to attract. And in today's world, having that equation correct is super important.
Christian?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's Christian first.
No, yeah, just before you, Johan. Yes, but it's not binary, right? So it's not either or. I think that there's a special responsibility for all investors in hard times to think a couple of steps in advance, right? So what do we do with the cap table now? In example, doing a down round, do we do to cap table now that will hit us, 3 years down the road, right? So because skewed cap tables will come out of these times, and that's not good for the attractiveness of these cases in 2-3 years. So,
Yeah, Jan, give a challenge.
I was just going to say, because what's interesting about the secondary market in the US was that because companies weren't going IPO because of the good times, the founders and the employees couldn't actually get liquidity, and that was a problem. So that's why it came in. It turned out to be a good thing for in a bad market. On the secondary, it's the same thing. A lot of founders struggle to have actually investors who said they're going to be active, they were passive. So they want to get rid of passive investors, or investors now then got bad liquidity. So they started getting machines in that was for good times, but now it's been their savior in bad times. We participated in several secondaries which you have to commit both to buy and invest. And they pick you very, very carefully. So I think it's actually... This is a time when actually the good secondary also come in, and we've been picked out to buy shares to be active, but it comes with a commitment.
And isn't that an interesting model? Because when
that's
there's
a savior in these times.
When there's a downtime, that's also a time to clean up, but you want to clean up and create the potential and forward momentum as well. So a mix of that is interesting.
I'm just going to say that's so funny. Good time solutions often are very good bad time saviors.
Cool.
Yeah, and I just wanted to chime in, Johan. Apologies, Jon Kåre, but a very clear example as well is SpaceX, right? It's a super heavy capex company which has been able to get continuous funding without being public due to having an active secondary market. So I totally agree. It's an enabler at the end of the day, right?
Okay, I want to. We can't go too much further, and this is a big topic. We could have spent 10 hours on it, but I think as an interesting note, we are discussing kind of secondary and slowing down, and early stage being relatively good, late stage being a little bit harder. But I think kind of you were saying that there is kind of there is light here. We're at the same level that we were at in 2020. It's not that long ago. I started Mesh together with these guys in 2012. To me, and I think that's also a little bit what Trond aims at, the funding level this year is 10 times higher than it was in 2015. And we have a mature market. We have a generation of successful founders. We have VCs. We have angel investors. We have attention from the most important corporates, and the corporate VCs have gotten a lot more mandate to do more important stuff. So to me, I want to kind of finish off with a question that I find very interesting, because I feel that we're in the downturn now. I feel that Norway in 2008, we did not utilize that downturn at all when it comes to kind of going into tech sector full force and kind of becoming more innovative. So if you take a lot of the markets and countries that were hit harder by that financial crisis, they started competing on the international stage, and what was emerging and what is now the biggest sector internationally is the tech sector. 8 out of 10 companies, the most valuable companies in the world, are the tech companies now. You have Apple, Microsoft, all of those topping that list. We still have an oil economy and an oil fund. We're world leading in those sectors, and we can, in a way, we are very lucky. We can do like Saudi Arabia and Qatar and those countries, and we can just be the third generation heir and go into our future with the billions in the bank and oil working for us the next 50 years as well. But I think here in this room with investors and founders here, that's very uninspiring. And a lot of us will move to other countries if that happens. So we are in a downturn now, and that's when the opportunity to do new things is also the greatest. So if you end up with a positive, I'm a positive guy when it comes to this, give us some positive, build on the light and what you think, and what we should do to not get this kind of gloom and doom picture of it, but what to build on. And I also think it's important to say that because there are a lot of influential people in the startup scene here, and the story that we tell and how we portray it, that it's not just gloom and doom, but we're back to 2020 levels, and we're on our way up, and it's the second stage of the startup scene. We started after others. We've had a 10-year startup phase. Now we're maturing.
Can I start, Anders? Because
Yeah.
I don't know if my point is that optimistic.
Okay. That's okay. That's good. That's good.
I don't think we should underestimate the question Trond got.
Yeah.
Because if we're looking for like the LPs and the people putting money into our funds, and the one talking to Kristin Skogenlund about what Scibsted should use their money about, in Norway, VC and this space is still immature, which it's still a bit exotic. If you look to the States, I mean, venture is a part of like the diverse portfolio of wealth. But what I'm a bit afraid of now is that we have had this really cool upturn, and then we got hit hard, and then we get this assumption. I think that's why it's so damn important for Trond, with the position he has, to really go out and talk about this, and we need to bombard the media about things are going really good. Because what I see from 2013, when we started Kolonial and Oda, and until now, just the ecosystem as a whole, the talented people joining in, people wanting to be started, we're just at a total different place. We now have the right to play and the right to talk to the best international investors. But I got this at Startup Extreme in March. I talked to someone at the breakfast, and he told about the story that his daughter had just started at NHH in Bergen, and she was a bit shocked when she came home from the first family trip, because she said that the boys she started with, they're like idols and models. It was the characters from Exit. And this was dead serious. That's the life, that's the modeling they're going after. And if you go to the same school in Stockholm, who are the heroes? It's Daniel Ek, it's Siemiatowski. It's totally different other role models that they really are struggling and building their careers to build towards. So I think just to be able to talk to the press that it's going really well, we're having a maturing ecosystem, and also I'm really a fan of daring to have ambitions, but also lift up the people that really has ambitions, which is great with the people and Hall of Famer. It's really important, and we need to talk more about them and model them, because we have a lot of great role models, and we need that to be the coolest pathway.
So here to all here, let's build that instead of getting the jantelov coming. I want to round this off and get over to the founders. Who has a brilliant closing remark for us?
Well, the way I see it, we have massive opportunities in Norway to build fantastic companies over the next 5 to 10 years. I think we are in an absolute unique position. That has to do with all the mega trends we see in the world. It has to do with the green shift. It has to do with our position in technology, the fact that we are a very global economy. When I sit with Skyfall at the lunch in Wergelandsveien 7, we sit with Airthings. Are there people from Airthings here? I don't know. What we see is that more than 90% of the people in Airthings are not Norwegian. I sit with Arundo. 88% of the employees are not Norwegian. We are very attractive for talent. So the things I would like to see is that we shortcut basically the process of bringing great talent into Norway. We have so many opportunities. It was a great initiative by Oslo Business Region at Arendalsuka, together with the municipality, to actually accelerate the process for people from outside of Europe to come in 3 days to join tech companies. So bringing capital to Norway, talent to Norway, and then leveraging the fact that we have the biggest high yield market for debt in Europe to support quite risky projects in the renewable energy arena, and match that with the venture capital side. Because to scale stuff in the green shift, I think we need to bring both venture mindset and scaling mindset. Yeah. And there we are quite unique in Norway. So there's so much to do, lots of hard work, but I'm incredibly optimistic.
Yeah, and so we're able and capable of taking risk. We have funding interest from outside and within. We have now we have 10, 15, 20 active VCs nationally, and there's international interest coming in. And what you mentioned is there is movement now when it comes to talent as well with this kompetansespor. And I think the reason why that is coming now is that for the last 10 years, when it kind of within politics, næringspolitikk has been relatively uninteresting. It has not been amongst the winning causes. I've been talking to a lot of politicians saying that that is changing now. The world is a little bit harder. We're going into we are in a recessionary time, and then næringspolitikk becomes a winning thing. So it's the right timing to get politics changed and do things like that. So kompetansespor, it takes that's a test pilot in Oslo. It takes 3 days instead of a year to get talented people in. If that works in Oslo, we're rolling it out to Norway. So things are happening within politics and talent, and those things are happening because of the downturn we are in. So the downturns also create opportunities.
And just to close off, Anders, but we're punching from below, right? Who doesn't love an underdog? We're the underdog story now. So I think it's just to keep on.
That's a good... Let's get the underdogs, the founders up. Thank you.